Call the meeting to order. Start off the landing. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. This includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Tugog Island, Rama, Coastal A, and Virginia Island First Nations. The township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen acknowledges the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. I'll ask everyone to make sure your cell phones are off or placed on vibrate so to disturb the meeting, and remind you of the declaration. If you're interested, if it arises, we can declare it then. We did have an emergency come up here, so we are going to have to go into a closed session here under section 239(2)A for discussion related to protection of property from physical loss or damage and the protection of public safety in relation to this property. So I'll look for a motion to go into closed. Moved by Councillor Clement, second by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, we are back in open, and the business today is the budget, and so we're going to start with number 4, Josh, with regards to recreation facilities. So, the section 4, all the pages that facilities administration is page 38, 39. We don't have to go through anything individually here. Is there anything that people would like to jump right into as far as, have you had anybody contact you, Josh, around anything?
So to you, Mayor Martin, no, I haven't, but we do have a couple of last minute submissions.
Okay.
Into budget. I was asked to provide quotations for painting the office and updating the flooring. I received some quotations from that. We're looking at $37,800 for the painting and the flooring, plus the tax brings it to $43,000. Also, in the facilities, we've had an issue with the water sterilizing system up in the Cordova Library. It's been in there since just a little bit after the Walkerton disaster, so this old equipment doesn't owe us that much. In 2023, we've already updated the stone hall, and the issue is an intermittent sensor that's on the side of the canister that holds the UV lamp that reads the water clarity. So it's not reading properly, and it's intermittent, and it's causing havoc. We had the user groups up there last Sunday, and they were running out of water. So the contractor is going to honor the 2023 pricing for $5,300 purchase and install.
Okay. Council's thoughts here. Michael, where would that come from as far as
through Chair, it's my understanding that the cosmetic issues with the building here, it's more of a repair and maintenance item, so that $43,000 would be more of an operating expense rather than capital, because it's not a betterment, it's not a tangible capital asset. So that would be in addition to page 41, facilities operations for the municipal building repairs and maintenance in addition to that. And the water sterilizing equipment, I can't recall exactly which building that was again, but
was for the Cordova Library.
Okay, so that could be a capital expense under the facilities budget, and that would come from the facilities reserve.
right then?
Oh, yeah. In terms of the painting and the flooring, I guess you said. Could that be taken out of the admin reserve? This is for admin building. I just don't want it going on the operating, the levy.
Future, absolutely, we could do that, 100%.
That being said, I don't know if I'm 100% for the painting. It's a better way to pay for it, and not put it on the levy, so.
Okay, Bev, you had a question?
No, I'm with Art on that.
Okay,
Is that my question?
and is that the whole office or like, because I heard there was, one was for the council chamber and upgrades here and then.
So, Tima Martin, that is for the whole office. We did have the flooring broken down for the chamber, but not necessarily the painting. But we have, that number I gave you for 43 is flooring and painting the whole office. Upstairs. Not the basement.
Okay,
But the hallway going down to the basement.
all right then. So,
You know, the last time we had it done.
Tima Martin, I do not know the last time this was done.
Thank you.
all right then, so council thoughts here, do it from the admin reserve, is that what I heard?
I would suggest that, and I'm not gonna make that motion.
Oh,
Let somebody else make that motion.
okay, council, what's your thoughts here on, to approve it, and I guess I can come back as far as where you're taking it from.
Are we doing it all together or two separate? Yeah. This just for the painting or for everything?
The painting and the flooring, I guess that one price that he gave, and then there's the water.
Well, that's what I said.
Okay, yeah, separate.
The admin would be all one and
That's
then
right,
the water
yeah.
would be separate.
Yeah.
But I mean, is the motion for everything or is this just a motion for the painting and the flooring?
Whatever you like.
So, yeah.
I'd make a motion for the water.
Okay, Art's making a motion for the water and Jerry's seconding it. All in favor, Gary? So the painting and flooring. So upgrades to the office, it's been a long time.
Through your Mayor Martin, so I do notice going out in the hall into the ladies' washroom, their floor is missing. So I mean, obviously we need, can't just repair something like that, so we do have to look at flooring for sure.
Make a motion.
It needs to be done. I just don't know how long it's been. We'll get it signed, sorry.
Or shutting it off.
Okay, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin. None of us can remember the last time this building had serious painting. As you can see, the floor in this room is very old. It's probably 15, 20 years at least. We all recognize that we don't have the budget for a new building. So we believe that this building does need a bit of a refresher. So to have some paint and flooring put on and to upgrade the council chamber, make it a little more professional, get rid of the plastic tables. We thought this was a worthwhile project. So we would encourage council to support this.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead with that. Okay, moved by Councillor Clement. Is that a seconder?
Oh,
Anybody want to second it?
this is. Yeah.
Councillor Doherty seconding it.
I have
A comment?
no, I just have a question. If it's all right, or do you want a seconder first?
You're seconding it.
No,
you're not.
I had-
Okay, yeah, I need a seconder. See if it's worth talking about. I'm not seeing a seconder, so. Well. The motion isn't moving, so you can go ahead.
I just had a question is that if we got an RFP or is there another quote or is it just a single quote we've got and that's what the price is going to be?
Through Mayor Martin, I do have 2 flooring quotes and I have 3 painting quotes.
Oh, okay, so covered.
All right then, so
I'll second the motion.
a mover and a seconder. Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so Any other items there for Josh? About the,
You go ahead.
so there was one thing in there from the last meeting about the $90,000 towards, the assessment that was needed for the town hall. So.
Through you, Mayor Martin, further to the open session council meeting that took place earlier this week on Tuesday. There was a report regarding Old Town Hall and the state of repairs in that building. Staff was directed to further investigate and follow up on that report. Staff did so yesterday. And last night we received a letter from the engineers and accident building sciences. And further to that letter, the building has been deemed unsafe to occupy. So there will be orders prohibiting use or occupancy of the building. And there is an order to remedy unsafe building being put on today by staff.
The motion would be that we, what's your thoughts that we do the, get this assessment going? And that letter would come out at the next meeting?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, the request was for further funding to investigate the situation further. It's an additional $90,000. And we would require a motion from council today to proceed with that.
Okay, it's council's thoughts.
I'll do that motion.
Okay, moved by Councillor Flagler. Second by Councillor Clement. Any questions? All in favor? Oh. Sorry.
Sorry, Chair, just as far as the motion goes, I just wasn't sure exactly where council was contemplating for the funding to come from. So I would think facilities reserve doesn't have the balance necessary to do so. So I would suggest that it come from the admin reserve.
That works out. Okay, so that would be added to the motion, that it would come from what Lionel said, the admin reserve. Okay. Any questions around that? Okay, all in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Okay, so. All right, any other questions for Josh with regards to facilities and recreation? Good, Josh. Good, thank you. Thank you. Fortune. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go back in order here and work our way through. So, do you have anything to open it up with?
The chair, not necessarily with respect to the report, but there has been something come up regarding the admin budget, so I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time. Chair, I believe so, but
Yeah.
So when we started to put together the budgets in September of 24, we had looked at our IT needs coming up in 25, and there is our main server, which this year in 25 will be entering its 7th year, which is certainly at the far end of expected lifespans of any computer, but in terms of a mission critical, such as a primary server, at the time, we thought we might be able to make it through another year, but that's 50,000 hours straight of operating, and quite honestly, I mean, 5 is probably pushing it most of the time. So in this age of cyber attacks and downtime, the cost of downtime, it certainly wouldn't be as simple as going to Best Buy and getting a laptop that's on sale. It's a pretty big process to not only source the equipment, but to migrate the data, make sure it's running concurrently with the old one. It is the expected cost of $27,000 is actually less than the cost was when we last had it done in 2018, I believe. It's a lot of money, but I rethought this and I thought it would be too much of a risk as far as I'm concerned, business risk, and defending against any sort of cyber attacks to let it go for another year. And I would suggest if council agreed with that, it perhaps come from the general capital reserve.
Council, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin. So we're hiring a cyber company to look after our data. Is that the understanding of this 27,000?
If you share, no, this is actually our primary server downstairs. That everything we do in terms of computers runs through. It's at the end of its life.
Okay.
And sometimes when, say, a computer is 7 years old, I mean, I'm not saying we're not safe right now, but when you get to that age, you got to wonder if the physical item is going to repel an attack. I know that most of the time has to do with software, but sometimes the most current software won't run on an old computer. So there's a lot going on here. It's mostly probably downtime. You know, if we go down and our primary server go down, we're down for a while. And so it is truly at the end of its life. And it has been recommended by our supplier. It was actually recommended in the middle of last year. So that's kind of what it includes. It includes the hardware, it includes the software that goes on the hardware, it includes the cost of migrating the data and setting up backups, like top to bottom.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that, Lionel. And yeah, that was something at the Roma conference. We went to the presentation. A lot of municipalities are getting hit with the ransomware through this. So it's nice to see that we're staying on top of this. Another thing they talked about in the CAO is they talked about setting up that external server that was separate from the cloud that we use as our backup. We investigated getting into setting up that third cloud or third server. I don't know what they call it, but kind of just to back up all our systems.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, that is a work in progress, and we are setting all that up. And security issues will be discussed in a private forum.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, so was there a removal portion of that? Okay, which
I don't, I mean,
moved by Councillor Clement, second by Deputy Mayor Webb. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Anything else there, Ron? Okay, so we're gonna move into economic development. Number 2 here. Got a list of things in here, so were there any questions? Any? Well, it starts on page 17. That's I just did anybody have any questions with regards to any of the whole list of things in here? So you don't have to, sorry. I'm just working from
Okay.
the book.
Yes.
Well, it starts on page 17. But there's a list of things. So there's administration, capital, economic development, capital. I don't know if there's any individual items.
But there's nothing new.
Nothing new like that. There's no question. You can go through this list here. Item number 2. Yeah, it's on. So, yeah, so I'm working from the agenda.
No, yeah, but there's nothing listed.
Nothing, no, and that's got all the,
We have the new items listed.
if there was any.
Yeah,
There
so-
isn't any, so I don't have any listed here, so
There's no,
did anyone?
unless council has.
Yeah. So the motion would be, or we don't even need a motion, we can move on to number 3. So the next number 3 is with Travis and the building official and, I don't have anything listed there. Anybody have any questions for Travis? Okay. Everybody, okay. All right, then, if we did Josh already. So we'll move into fire chief Ray. And Ray online.
Yes.
You had anybody approach you, Ray? Is there any questions you need to answer for us?
Through you, Mayor Martin, no, I never had anybody come and I believe there's no questions.
You got any questions for Ray? So, next items on here for road. Peter? Peter online then? Yeah. So. Huh?
He's coming.
Basically. Correct. Waiting for Peter.
Why don't we, he's on his way, so why don't we just recess for 5 minutes?
Yeah. Can I get a recess here for 5 minutes? Jerry, Bev, all in favor?
I'll tell you better.
Okay, so we're gonna resume our meeting. I'll look for a motion to resume. Moved by Councillor Clement, second by Councillor Doherty, all in favor, and that's carried. So we're back into the meeting and Peter's here with the roads, so. Peter, did you have any additions or things that anything come forward?
No, for you, Mayor Martin, good morning, everyone, and no, I didn't have anything to bring to the table today.
Okay. Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
I had something and that just for reconsideration. It's the 6th line. Converting it to, I believe is, we now do overlay. Is that what we have approved?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, that's is what is approved in the previous budget for a single layer overlay of surface treatment on the 6th line.
I'd like to see whether there's any thought of maybe amending that and making it a full repay, I think, or I forget what's your terminology there, Peter.
Through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Doherty, so it would be a full rehabilitation, full reconstruction with the Alton asphalt coal in line with the Round Lake Road would be the same surface at the end.
Yeah, through you, I did ask Peter for a car count. The car count on the 6th line is the same as Round Lake Road, and we're doing surface treatment on one. And then we're doing a different one on another one, and I just see whether there's any thoughts or anybody had any ideas, but to me, it's a pretty heavy travel road. I think one of the more busy roads in the township. It's the cost, we have 200 in the reserve now. Peter has been gracious enough to give me an estimate around 625, so that would mean a bump of 425 more to come from somewhere. So we could use our bottle return or something to help out. But I just throw it out there, see whether there's any interest, because all I can say is whatever we're doing on the 6th line will be done in 2025. Because we don't want this to be a legacy thing that goes on for another 2 or 3 more years. So anyway, just a thought. I
appreciate the comments from Councillor Doherty, and probably in
any other year. I'd be with you on this. It's just, at the moment, we got a number of major sticks in the fire from George Street, wastewater treatment plant. Another issue that's just arisen this morning for council in terms of, possible dollars needed going forward. The money's already been allocated for the surface treatment. Pete, we asked you this, I think, in one of the last meetings. You thought that would be suffice in terms of getting that road up to spec for the people that are using it. So while I would love to be with you in terms of a complete rebuild over there, I think that the circumstances at the moment dictate that probably resurfacing is the best way for us to go. So, but I do appreciate the comment.
Okay, yeah, so how many years do you figure on, once it's got this, gets this, surface treatment, is that, you said something about it, that should get us another 8 years out of it or so approximately?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, that's correct.
Well, how many, sorry?
Yeah, 7 to 8 years. Yeah, that will give us our life expectancy from the original reconstruction of the sixth line.
So,
And
through you, Mr. Ray. So is that expanded? I thought it was more the 5 to 7. Now it's 7 to 8. And what about the complete rebuild? What kind of a timelines on that?
So through you, Mayor Martin, typically a surface treatment overlay is to extend the original existing reconstruction. And it varies on traffic and conditions, but they're recommending between 15 and 20 years. If you do the reconstruction, surface treatment and an overlay will get you to those years. And with the new ultra thin asphalt with the full reconstruction, they're saying in about the same, like it's 15 to 20 years. It's just the surface treatment goes in 2 stages. So this is the last stage of the surface treatment. I think is the best way I can explain it.
thank you, okay, thanks.
So, yeah, just further to that, so for clarification, then the next time 6 line gets done, it will be a complete rebuild, right? In terms of our road line? Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, I just throw it out there, see if there's any interest. There's not, we've probably got other places we can spend it.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for Peter here? Okay. One last call.
Well, we've been kicking around either GPS or some form of tracking within our municipal fleet. Peter brought a very good point that we have some software already. I think I'm using the right word, software, in place and paying for it that might capture some of these things, and we aren't utilizing it. And I think we maybe should move into the 2000s and look at something of that nature, even if we start small with the roads department and see how it works, and will it accomplish what Peter wants for overview and time management and work allocation and all those things. If it helps in those areas, maybe it's something that we can investigate. And it's my fault because I come late to the party, and Peter's been doing a lot of work along with Lionel to trying to get some costs together, and you just can't get things done quickly. This is the government. So it takes a while. So it's kind of an open thing. I'd like to see us investigate. I'd like to see us entertain, at least if Lionel and Peter have even an approximate number, then we could say, go to that, and I just throw it out there. Also,
It's also good for insurance too, like, you know, to have that kind of data, so. Okay, okay, go ahead.
I just I like your comments there, Councillor Doherty. I was just gonna ask Pete if we had a number in terms of an estimate of what that might cost in terms of the GPS for the trucks, and how many trucks we might be looking at doing.
So through you, Mayor Martin, I do have some costing on some of the GPS for the units in the trucks. And this is a year ago, short notice, but I pulled it back from the email thread. So, and I did, I'm assuming 5 vehicles is what we would have with, there's 3 tandems, 3 main plow routes, a single axle in the village, and the sidewalk machine is your main liability focus points. So with the GPS units in the truck, that would track, with where the truck is at all times, when it was there, when you're plowing, if your plow's down or not, if you're sanding, it covers all the bases for liability. So, and I've estimated, $20,000, from a year ago price. I've estimated $20,000, and that will get us the road watch sensor that goes in to track air and temperature of the road as well. So that we could shave that back a bit if we didn't want to do the road watch, but it's a viable piece of equipment as well.
Well,
Okay, go ahead and then Kathy.
so through, so 20,000, that would cover 5 trucks, you said? So I'm looking at roughly $4,000 per truck.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, we do have some numbers, but I think it's obviously has gone up within a year. And then the addition that I'm recommending of the $500 road watch is probably gone up a little bit too. So that will cover tax and installation and GPS and road watch. So.
And this GPS service, you said it is compatible with the citywide, the citywide.
It is compatible.
We're using.
Through Mayor Martin, it is compatible. There's some information that they can get directly off of it as right now. I was speaking with the county yesterday on this topic to have all my information, and they are working right now to actually be able to pull all the information off of the GPS. So right now it's giving you information of hours on the vehicle, maintenance required on the vehicle, where the truck is, but it can't give you the plow up and plow down as of yet, but that's a work in progress. So it will be coming. It's just.
I'm still learning about it myself, but some of the things I have learned about it is in terms of moving ahead insurance. So I mean, if we have an accident or something like that, it's good for covering your butt in terms of, because everything's covered through, like you said, through the computer. There's exact times, dates, whatever, areas where you are and where those trucks have been. So it can kind of help out, I think, in that in terms of liability. So
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, just to add to that, colleagues have taken either one of those to court, and it has held up. So it's very good for liability.
So you suggested 5. How many trucks are in the entire fleet? Like say we want to do all of roads, how many trucks would that be?
Through you, Mayor Martin. So the other 2 that I'd recommend is the 2 3/4 tons that do the parking lots, which is another slip and fall scenario. But the grader could be involved with it as well, plus our spare tandem. So there's possibly 4 more that would be an option for council, but I'd suggest the 5 to start. But they are the main 5, but
those would just be then like the plow trucks and that, like not our pickups that.
No, through you, Mayor Martin, exactly. It's just the 3/4 tons have the sanders in the back and plows, so they're doing parking lots. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting 5, but there could be up to 7. You'd
Through you, Mayor, it could be to 9 if council.
9 total. Okay, so just
Yes.
Thank you, Peter. Sorry.
Kathy, and then
That's not right. Sorry, through you, Mayor Martin. Pete, I'm all for this. I think it's a great idea, especially because of liability. Can you at any point, like, do you have a computer where you could look and see where these trucks are?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
Through you, Mayor Martin, the 20,000, is that based on the 5 or based on 9, all your vehicles?
Through you, Mayor Martin, that's based on the 5.
On 5?
Yeah.
So it'd be approximately another 20?
36, roughly 4 per 4,000 per.
is that made in Canada? Otherwise, that 25% off.
Yes.
I do think that this is a great idea, and I think it's money well spent.
Jerry?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't, or my thoughts were not singular in nature, that we're just looking at winter time, because I'm looking at summertime because of graders on the road. Oh, trucks are on the road, backhoes on the road. To me, it should be a department so that we can get a complete, absolute understanding from your point of view for management purposes is we have them all year round. I mean, yes, it's an expense. I understand that, but it's a one-off expense. I think that's a TAC, isn't it? Wouldn't it? Tangible? No, not a tangible.
Future, I'm very proud of Councilor Doherty. So it's a
Only one.
a tangible capital asset. The actual equipment would be a tangible capital asset.
TCA.
So if I can follow, but so what's, okay, we get all the trucks, that's 7. The grader is at 8, is the backhoe 9, and how many more half tons?
So through you, Mayor Martin, so there'd be the 5 that I've recommended. And then on top of that would be our spare 10, that's 6. Our grader would be 7. Our 2 3/4 tons would make it 9. And plus we do have a backhoe that would make it 10. And then we do have 2 half tons that would actually make it at the 12. So
That's 48,000 then.
Times 4.
So your first price would be like a phase in, like to just start off with 5 to see how it works. And the other option, it sounds like that people are interested in possibly looking at doing them all while we're doing it, but I don't know. Kathy?
So through you, Mayor Martin, so Pete, if you did the 5, is there an additional installation charge if you do the rest?
through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Clement, the price I have, it was per unit and installation was included, so I can't
Okay.
honestly answer that. If we do more, are we gonna get a better discount? I would hope so, but I can't answer that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the treasurer, is there any money available in any roads reserves that where we wouldn't have to take this to the taxpayer?
To you, Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm swinging over to another spreadsheet. So my thought would be the road equipment reserve, if I can find it. Yeah, so I think the capital cost, that would be a good spot to find if we're starting with 5 to $20,000 now. To that point, I'm not sure. I think Peter has the expected operating cost, but that would go into the operating budget. So perhaps through this, I could ask Peter what the operating cost would be.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, I was thinking that as well, Lionel. So from a year ago, from my records here show, so like a tandem snowplow dump truck at the time was $35 a unit per month per unit, and then so the light duty, the 3/4 tons are for $24 a unit. So I'm assuming there is a slight increase from those being a year old, but so you'd have to do the math to figure out exactly if we're going to go with the 12, what the monthly operating would be on that.
Is that like a licensing thing for them, like to connect to citywide or?
Like a software.
That's a monthly fee. Yeah. Lionel?
Through Chair, so 5 units at 35 a month looks like it's $2,100.
Okay. We're looking. Well, would be.
Yeah,
52.
550.
I'm just hearing, I think, it sounds like people would rather do them all than 5, right?
That would be my motion, do them all, but through your chair, I wouldn't want to just go right into this until we actually can visually see what the reporting's like. Because unless it's really something we can use, you can use on a daily basis, you have to assess the worth of it, I guess, but I'd be interested, if we're going to start at one department, do its entirety, not piecemeal it. And then, because I think other than the capital costs, we can stop the operating costs at any time and give them back to machines or disconnect them or something. So it's not a lifetime commitment, I don't think, is it?
So through you, Mayor Martin. So Pete, just one more question, because I agree with Councillor Doherty. would you get like a monthly report, or like you said, you can go in at any time and pull a report yourself?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, as I understand, I can go online and see where the trucks are, where they've been. I'd have to do a little more research on pulling a report, or I'd like to, as soon as the connection gets fully made with the programming and software with the citywide, that's when this is really gonna be more user friendly, I guess I would say. So it's a separate item right now, if I can explain that correctly. The GPS is in the truck and you have to go to the GPS and then pull the information out of that specific truck. It's gonna come to your computer. But to link it with citywide, that'll be the real ticket when we can do that. So,
Just to follow up, Pete. So is there another township that already has this that you could go to and see what they get?
yes, through you, Mayor Martin, yes, the county is where I've received my information from. So yes, I can go there at any time and they'll definitely give us more demonstrations and any aid that we need. Yeah.
But we had them on the trucks that I drove in the city, and it's amazing. Like, you know, they come out winter, they came out, they plug in at the end of the storm. They know how many tons of sand or salt went down. They knew when my wing was up or down.
Yep.
Because usually and they knew when I smashed it off, when I hit the curb, that kind of thing, right? So anyways, it's a good thing. There's lots of good data will come off of that, not just for everything. I think it's the way to go. Jerry?
Through you, Chair. What user input has to be done for this to function at its highest level? Is there any human work that has to be done, or is it all automated and simply do a report off? Like, in other words, Ryan, does he have to do something, or your greater, do they have to do something, they get in it, or it's there and it records? Like, it's the management of it, I guess, that I'm looking at as well.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin. Yeah, it's turn it on. Yeah,
Just start
it's
the truck.
recording it. Yeah. Yeah, and then we have to go and physically pull it out and put it on your computer. But it's as far as any background or any behind the scenes work, there's nothing to do with the GPS units in the trucks.
Well,
It's just the install.
through you, Mr. If we're pulling it out of the truck and getting the information, that's work that has to be done that's beyond computerized work.
No, they just go out and they plug in their laptop to the plug.
Does that take a human being to do that?
Yes, but it's not you don't have to take the unit out or anything like that. Peter would go out and plug it in every month and download his data onto his computer and keep it.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mayor Martin. I was on there's no background work that we have to do to implement this. When they come and get installed, you hit the button and you're in business. Like, there's nothing for admin to do on the back end to get this up and running. And that's where my thought was.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the question is, I didn't want to add to the workload of the people that you have. Is this going to add to their day, or is it simply, as the mayor's put, you just plug in at the end of the month or 15th or due, or any time you can plug in and get the data?
Yes.
So there's no extra work being put on your employees in the roads. Okay, thank you.
And just further to that, hopefully, once like Pete said, once it gets hooked up to the citywide program, that'll go you won't have to go to the truck anymore, right? It'll go right to the computer. So.
And what's that cost, and when is that available?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Martin, that's a work in progress as of yet. It can pull certain stuff off the GPS for hours and maintenance and logs but it can't pull the actual information out of the GPS as of yet. It is in progress, and the county is working on getting that in place where citywide will know when the plow was down, when it wasn't, when the sander was on. So not as of yet, but it is a work in progress, and they're working towards that as well.
So at this point, do we need a motion just to put some money aside for Pete until he gets the rest of these questions answered, or?
No, I think
we need to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be prepared to make a motion that we get the GPSs for the complete public works program. And that we can put in a $60,000 limit or estimate or something. And then I think it's maybe $3,500 a year for maintenance or for operating. And then have Peter do a little bit more work and, but just for information, make sure we're getting out of it what we think we're getting out of it, because, I think it's increased productivity that we're looking for, and it's a management tool for Peter, so that's my motion. Not the management part, he already knows that.
So I'll second that.
Okay, Lionel?
Through Chair, so I'm gonna recap what I understand to be the cost here, so Peter can jump in and tell me if I'm lying, but it looks like the operating cost for full 12 would be $5,100 a year. And the capital, I have, if we're running at $5,000 a vehicle. Oh, yeah, actually, that's true. So, yeah, to Councillor Doherty's point, yeah, if we're going to that route, we'd be at the 60, yeah.
I just thinking that you said you're dealing with year-old figures, and there's very seldom that things go down, so.
So through you, Mayor Martin, so that that will increase the operating for snow plowing, GL 3220.
Yeah, through you, Chair, I would be putting it in the account that's for software and support, so it would be in that area under contracts or whatever that line goes into, but it would increase your operating budget by $5,100 a year.
So mover and seconder over there.
Yes, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Okay. All right, Lionel, do you have the capital account? Did we get that?
Through you, Chair, yes, so my thought would be that the Public Works Equipment Reserve would be an appropriate place.
All right. We have a mover and a seconder. And
One question. Are we passing that we're putting GPSs in all those machines and that's it? Like, we're not doing trial bases, are we?
No.
And so this is GPS and that's it. I have heard from other townships, Duro is one of them. And truck driver, he says they're amazing and they know exactly, once he goes off route, they're calling him right away, where are you? You're supposed to be there. So I think this is a positive direction and I do believe it will make things more efficient. As Councillor Doherty has already said. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay. All right then, so we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor of the motion. And that's carried. So. Okay. Is there anything else under public work? All right, so that's all of the list. For today, if there's no other questions. The next would be. Wow. Do you have a number roughly where we are at, or is that putting you on the spot? No.
We need to do something with.
Yeah, I have to do a little bit of work here, but.
Okay.
Annual contribution to reserve, did we do that?
To you, Chair, yeah, there is a section of the report that speaks to a question that came up during the first budget meeting about our contributions to reserve. So in the report, I had laid out 4 different scenarios for consideration. As far as increasing the contributions to the reserves that are currently in the budget. So we have the general capital reserve currently 240, facilities contribution 40, fire is 202, parks and rec reserve 127, roads reserve 285, and waste reserve contribution is 40. So the question came up about, are these sufficient? And to be honest, I mean, I have the scenarios of 1, 5, 15, or sort of 10 and 20%. We could honestly increase all of those by 100%. We wouldn't have anywhere close to the money we're going to need in the next 10 years. I mean, it's a bit of a scary thought, but in the budget book on pages 93, 94, 95, it lists all our reserves, but this year there's a column to the far right about our our coming commitments. So, for example, our township roads reserve. It has, at the end of 2025, it's projected to have a balance of $750,000. Seems like a lot of money, but our asset management expenses that are projected in the next 10 years are $29.9 million. We know that we have a wastewater treatment plant upgrade that's been presented to us that by itself would be, if we were to fund it ourselves, would be well over $5 million. I mean, I could go on, say sewer. We already talked about sewer facilities. We have $7.5 million to project for expenses coming up in the next 10 years for our facilities. So the money in our reserves and the contributions to reserves that I just mentioned here, it does seem like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But the problem becomes if we don't have enough money in reserves when we have to go spend this, then we look at debt. And I think a lot of municipalities have debt, and I think it's maybe unavoidable sometimes, but say, for instance, if we had to borrow $5 million for the wastewater treatment plant, in a way that kind of saves the operating budget for about 5 minutes. But then when you have to start paying off the debt, you're paying over $400,000 a year. So immediately your tax rate jumps by 5%. And I'm not saying at some point in the future we may have to incur debt, but if there's a way of prudently moving forward and very methodically putting away money and avoiding that 5% increase to taxes, that's what I would suggest. So that's a long-winded sort of introduction to this chart. And so these are just options for council to consider. Yeah, I didn't put the 100% increase option in there because there obviously has to be a balance with what taxpayers can afford, but perhaps there's something in this range that the council would think would be a good idea.
Might add, yeah, we don't need to, if anything that needs to be done needs to happen.
Okay. So, through you, I agree with everything the treasurer said. A lot of major projects coming up in years to come. So, just looking at line oil, not to bugger up your work here or anything, but I kind of went through it. So transfer to general reserves. I'm looking at the end, the 20% kind of in terms of the chart we're looking at. So everybody's looking at that. General capital reserve, 48,000, because it's general reserve. I don't know how healthy it is, but I think it's kind of healthy. I was wondering if we could knock that down and maybe spread some of that out into some of these other ones that you kind of identified there. One, I see facilities. We got major projects there. We only got 8,000. So, same way, yeah. Basically what I was thinking of is if we went from, in the last one, so if we went 48 general capital, took that down to 20, and then moved facilities reserve from 8 up to 20. Then fire 30. Parks and rec, I think you can leave that where it is. Roads 50. 57 if you wanted, and then 800 the waste, although the waste could be ticked up, but I can't figure out where to get any extra money for that too. So, but that's just a little bit extra because I think we're pretty good in the general capital, aren't we?
Future, it's not terrible. I mean, that's something that, if something comes up, we typically go to if there's an issue. But just so I just want to make sure this is kind of what the deputy mayor was discussing. So for transfer of general capital reserve, I have a discussion of increasing that by 20. The transfer to facilities reserve 20. The transfer to fire reserve 30. Transfer to parks and rec. I know Councillor Hard or Councillor Webb had mentioned leaving it as is, but I'm pretty sure that by that you had meant increasing it by 25.4 or?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
sorry, leaving it, yeah, just
Okay.
at those, the numbers that are there. I
25.4, okay.
apologize, Lime.
And that's okay. Transfer to roads reserve, I think you had mentioned 50 originally, but.
Yeah, even 57, you could probably leave the 57 to see
Okay.
what that comes out as.
And transfer to waste 6.
Eight.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just for the first one, the general capital, I want to take that from 48 down to 20.
Right.
And then just kind of spread that out in the other ones.
Future, so that would be a total of around, it's 158,400. It's a little bit more.
So what if we, I don't know, I'll leave that to.
Yeah.
That's just a suggestion, maybe it can be tweaked a little bit.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Lionel, I just want to get clear in my mind the logistics of it. The chemistry, I think we can work out. If we get the, the total dollars. And Deputy Mayor has said the 20%. Now, we're a little late this year to do that, or would that be something we would do next year? And when we do the budget next year, is this an item that we start off? This is the amount that's going into reserve off of the top. So we're starting at 186 as an expense. Is that the way it logistically works?
Yeah, future, I would see it that way. I would see us starting from that, new position, so to speak, and council obviously would have the ability to change it to whatever they want, but I think what we change it to here would form like a new base moving forward. So, just to enable some kind of consistency in how we're putting money aside, but again, it's just a starting point. Yeah.
Follow up through you, Mr. Mayor. This does not affect in any way any other reserves or reserve money we're putting aside. This is completely topping up in the areas that we have on an annual basis, basically to cover inflation or whatever, because we know the costs are going up. Is that my understanding it right?
Yeah, future. Yeah, certainly inflation would be part of it. I mean, and the asset management program has really crystallized in everybody's mind how much municipalities have to be paying attention to their asset renewal. So I think it's also recognizing how that province-wide program has made it clear to every municipality what they have to invest in moving forward.
Thank you.
To you, Mayor Martin. That page we're looking at, Lionel, the per budget review book. In my understanding, I thought we were already transferring 240 over. Like, are those transfers already being done, correct?
Yeah, future, that first column, yes.
Okay, and then you want to do a 1% or 5%, 10, 20. I'm not prepared to do the 20%. I don't think that's necessary right now. Okay, thank you.
So were you making that a motion then, Art, or that you would like to see it go to there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out exactly where we are here. Sorry, but just give me a second.
So the process would be if we can, if we can get some of this fine tuning down, that we would have a number to work from to adopt the budget today, but it wouldn't be, still has to come to the field next week.
Future, just as an option, to give everybody another column to look at here. I can get my spreadsheet to behave. So right now, we have the four options. If we went in the middle of 10 and 20, and I'm just saying this for dollar amounts, if we had a total of 140 added, as opposed to the 150 that Councillor Webb had discussed, that would leave us at an increase from where we are of 1.9. So we'd be at yeah, that's kind of an option in the middle.
So we'll need to know what the end result is.
Yes, that would be 5.9.
5.9. But it would leave us in a little better shape to prepare for what's ahead. Because we have a lot.
Yeah, through you, Chair. I mean, as I was saying, we could put a lot more in, but I know there's a balance here, but we're in a position where we've been able to avoid that monster increase every year because of debt payments, and this will certainly go towards, you know, achieving that in the near future, the medium term.
Okay. All right. And that's the thing, like it's no matter what, it's painful. And it's not gonna get any easier. So it's planning for the future.
So, yeah, just in terms of the last, I need a motion for this. So I was just gonna make a motion to go with the treasurer's suggestion that we go with I guess somewhere in between scenario 3 and scenario 4, but the total added to reserves would be 140. Yeah, and that'll be at the discretion of the treasurer.
No, yeah, like if we say that, that's what it is.
Well, do I need to itemize it line by line? That's what I said, we can go through the numbers for each line.
I would suggest maybe
No, yeah.
if we so chose, we could just change the general capital, like decrease that by 18,000, and that gets us to our 140.
Okay, well then I'll make that motion.
Okay, you're gonna move that.
To decrease, yeah. Go with option 4, but decrease the general capital by 18,000.
Yeah, so it'd be now a 2,000 increase, so the total increase would be 140.
Okay.
140, that's the number. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's moved by Deputy Mayor.
And a 1.9 on the percent, right, in terms of the sheet, so, okay.
So that's moved by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a seconder for that option?
With the question, I don't mind getting it on the books to include this year, but I'm more interested in the end result because maybe with the changes we've made today, maybe we don't quite have enough this year to do it. Maybe it's something we do, but for next year, depending on where we're coming in on the tax levy overall. So I'm prepared to move the motion. I like the idea, I like the numbers and everything, but it's just whether it's going to be done this year, all of it, or wait and do it next year because that's the comment. Thank you.
So does that motion leave it open that you can adjust it to? Like, because if we make a motion today to adopt it, is your motion to adopt it for this year's budget?
To add
Like
to
add
the
it to the
budget,
budget.
that's my motion.
And that's what you were seconding, Gary? That's, I just wanted to clear.
The motion is scenario 4 with a reduction of transfer to general capital reserve of 18,000, which takes it down to 30,000.
Okay. So just so I'm sure what Councillor Webb, I'm just gonna go through them, and Councillor Webb can see if this jives with his, but for the transfer to the general capital reserve, I have an increase of 2,000. For the transfer to facilities, 20, fire, 30, parks and rec, 25.4, transfer to roads, 57, and transfer to waste reserve, 6,000. And that should equate to 140,000 total.
Sure. Yes. Good.
You had a question from Councillor Flygo?
Yes, Does this affect the tax rate for this year's taxes? Is this what we're talking about? Because I'd prefer it if we did not do this until we're very transparent with our taxpayers. I mean, I've already got my bill and it did increase by $40. So I'd imagine that everyone in the township is already paying for increases. And now we're gonna add another 1.9% on top of that. I think that's an unfair thing, considering that we've already done the budget. I mean, I get it. I know we need to save money every year, and I see that we've put in $1 million right now to the reserves. And I understand that you do want that increase. And I feel that the increase should come next year so that we can better prepare our residents for the increases, especially if we have a lot of things that we need to pay for. Then the public needs to be aware that this is what we need and this is what the increase is going to be. I just don't want to do that now to them and do it midterm. Like, I'm not understanding how these taxes really work because you've already sent out the bill. So how does this 1.2 or 9% be added into that?
Future. So the interim tax bills that go out, they're calculated as 50% of what everybody pays last year. That's kind of a legislation aspect. So everybody sends those out at this time of the year. It's always based on the previous year's taxes. So in between the interim bill going out and the final bill going out, everybody finalizes their taxes. And then there's a final tax rate. So what's billed for the final billing for those last two installments is the difference between the actual rate for 2025 and what was billed on the interim, which is based on 50% of the prior year. So that's how you can send tax bills out before budgets get passed, because the province says you have to bill them at 50% of what the person paid the previous year.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Through Mr. Then how would a $40 increase come about then? Just, I didn't even check mine. I got it, but I didn't.
Yeah, through sure. I'd have to look at the particular, yeah.
That's fair. Thank you.
Yes, because I believe my bill came and it's not the same bill as last year. Mine's already up. $10, $15, whatever it was.
Yeah, through sure. I'd be happy to have a look at it. Like, yeah.
No, that's okay. I understand that. I understand taxes go up every year. But now we're gonna increase it again by 1.2. Like, I think that's a real hardship for our residents. It's too bad that this wasn't brought up earlier, and then we could have put that in there.
Just further to that, this is for next year's taxes we're doing here, right? So this isn't the taxes you paid the other day. That's not going to be 1.9 on those taxes you paid the other day. It's going to be on your next tax bill that you get next summer.
Oh, it's gonna be on my final bill.
Next.
That's
Yeah, some of
what
it
he
will
just
be,
said.
but he said 50%, right?
No, the 50% is what, so for 2025, you get your interim bill. And because people don't have a lot of people don't have their taxes or their budgets finalized, a lot of municipalities. Province says you have to bill that at essentially half of what was billed the prior year. So then we pass our 2025 budget, pass a final 2025 tax rate. And so then when the final bills go out, everybody gets billed what their total amount for 2025 will be, less what's already been billed on the interim. So this will affect this year's taxes.
Yes, and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the way the times, if we don't keep ahead of it, when we talk about spikes, next year will be doubled. It could be. I don't have but it's just looking at what we're facing. I think this is kind of good planning. As hard as it is, but Kathy?
Martin, so Lionel, based on whatever you come up with there, 5.9 or whatever, what does that equate to? Is there because don't you based on every 100,000, right?
Sorry, what's being based on every?
Okay, so the increase.
Yeah.
How much is how much are we as ratepayers gonna see on our bill? How much will I be paying?
I could calculate that. Well, people talk amongst themselves. I don't have that right but it would equate to 1.9% on what they had previously. So, if somebody's tax bill was $2,500, then you're looking at, well, it'd be just a municipal portion. So you'd be looking at maybe 25 to 30. Yeah, because as everybody knows, municipal portion is less than 50% of the total bill that we bill out, and we have education and the county. So in 24, 47% of the tax bill is for HBM, 37% of the tax bill is for the county, and 16, not sure if my rounding is correct there, but 16 is for education. So
47%. What we can spend.
So we have a motion on the floor.
I'd like to,
Yeah.
that the part about adding it this year, as I said before, it's a worthwhile cause and it should be done. But it's what our tax rate is going to be this year. I need to know that before we add that to it, or unless we can take it off or reduce it down. Because the number that's been thrown around isn't a number that I had in mind, and I'm really not too excited about it, so.
So Sushi, I gave a certain number of options here, but I mean, clearly there's an infinite number of options in between. So, yeah, I mean,
The number is 5.9.
Yeah, well,
That's the motion that's on the table.
So it's, okay, well then.
That's what the motion is, and.
No, not me. I'm not seconding it.
So we have a mover for the. Is there a seconder? Okay. All right then, so it's defeated, so where are we at now then, as it is right now then?
as it is right now, there's really only one.
You have money for next.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So
Sorry, further to that, do you want to just maybe take them through, Lionel, when you talked earlier about the commitments we have for next year in terms of George Street Phase 2 wastewater treatment plant, and maybe some of the numbers behind some of that?
sure, through you, Chair. I'm just gonna flip back to part of the book.
What page? You can let us know what page then.
Yeah, so 93 it starts. So yeah, it shows the reserves, but also far right column, what we're looking at in terms of the future. So for instance, on page 94, roads township reserve, we have projected at the end of 2025, it was 750,000, but probably isn't a big surprise. There's almost $30 million forecast of needs in the next 10 years. We've got for roads equipment, we've got about 400 right now, and over $1 million forecasted. And this is from our asset management program that we finalized last year, and we're fine tuning this year. $5.5 million for sewer. I'm sure everybody's getting the gist here. We have a recreation project out there that could be around 3.5 for us. So yeah, there's a lot of it.
That's good, Lionel. Thank you very much. I just wanted council to be aware.
So one more comment. And I've been thinking about this a lot, because we definitely, we have to increase it. I realize that. Lionel, somewhere you gave us a thing, and I remember some of them raised anywhere from 6.2 to 11%. We're a long way from that, thank goodness. I'm gonna second it. We need the money. We have to, and at $25, what you're saying for our rate.
That would be like approximate. I mean, it's gonna be completely different based on your assessment.
Yeah, because I know a couple other places that are extremely high. And like, I know what happened in the city where they stayed too low for too long, and now they're really paying for it. I'd rather see us try to get ahead of it a little bit, so I will second the motion.
Okay, go ahead. Just to clarify through you, Mayor Martin,
At a previous budget meeting, first of all, everything we're talking about today is affecting the tax bill this year. We have not yet approved our budget for this year. And until that happens, everything we talk about is going to affect our bill this year. At a previous budget meeting, there was a discussion / suggestion of having an annual inflationary increase to reserves. And that's what this chart is showing us today. This is further to that conversation. These are just suggestions that were brought forward. But this is further to a previous conversation that did come up at our budget meeting, to have an inflationary increase to transfer to reserves. So that's what this number is.
Thank you. All right, so there is a mover and a seconder for that motion now. So any other questions around the motion? Right.
Through you, Mayor Martin. So it's my understanding that we're already putting in close to $1 million to our reserves as of this year, correct?
That's correct, future.
Okay, so increases, I get that. But I think scenario 1 would be fine. I'm just not really keen on the 1.9. I guess people don't get the point of it. Like I look at myself in town, I have a $30 increase
So
from last year.
we have to deal with the motion.
That's done. So going on to outside of town, they probably have $100. And then if you want to talk about the people on the lakes,
There is
they're
a
probably
motion here
200.
right now. You gotta deal with.
Okay, you know what? I've just recorded vote because I'm
There you go.
definitely
That's
not
fair.
for this, not for
Fair.
this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Part of it.
Through you, Mayor Martin, we have a motion here moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement, that the total increase to reserves be 140,000. Correct me, Mr. Treasurer, if I've got that wrong. 140,000 for this year.
An increase.
An increase
Over.
over the previous amount, 140,000 as per the chart in the staff report. Recorded vote was requested by Councillor Flagler. So we'll start around the table. Councillor Doherty.
No.
Councillor Flagler.
No,
Mayor Martin.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Webb.
Yes.
And Councillor Clement.
Yes,
And the motion is carried 3 votes to 2.
So that includes the discussion around the budget today and all of the other duties. So we compiled quite a budget here. You know, we've done the best we can with what we know. And I would like to see us get a motion that we adopt the budget today, so it could come back to a body. So.
And if we want to just review the final one.
So the final was 5 point.
You said the final number would be 5.9%.
Okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Second by Councillor Clement.
All in favor? Do you have a question?
Recorded vote.
Recorded vote.
We already did recorded.
Well, for the adoption of.
Oh, sorry.
So. Okay,
Through you, Mayor Martin, recorded vote requested by Councillor Doherty, and the motion is that we adopt the budget at a 5.9% increase for 2025. So going around the table, we will start with Councillor Clement,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Webb,
Yes.
Mayor Martin,
yes.
Councillor Flagler,
no,
Councillor Doherty.
No.
The motion is carried 3 votes to 2.
Okay.
Alright, so that concludes today's meeting. We're looking for confirming dialogue for today's meeting. Comments? Confirm today's meeting. Regarding all in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Councilor, Deputy Mayor Webb and Councilor Doherty. All in favor? Carried. 8.